Just smile, just cry, don't cry. Just smile, just smile, just smile, just smile, don't cry, don't cry. Just smile,
Everybody put your hands up if you riding on the wave. Turn the music up while we drive down the page. Drop it in the shady corner, riding on the wave. We gon' keep these eyes like a case. Everybody throw your hands high. If you rockin' with the vibes, take the man and put it to the side. We getting ready to get started, baby. Make sure y'all pull up, share this stream, man. Let us know. Let somebody know we in here. Got a great guest for y'all tonight. My boy Devon is in the building. Hey.
I can't let it go. I can't walk away. I can't give up now.
You're currently listening to Mickey Miller.
I can't let it go.
The Vibe Tape.
I can't walk away.
Hey.
I can't give up now.
Come on, get some people in the room. Share the stream. Comment below. Let me know you're here. We getting ready to get started. Can't wait for y'all to meet my guest tonight. Yo, what's good? It's your boy, man. Give me some claps, man. Y'all know how I like to start the pod. Give me some claps up in here, man. It's your boy, Lo, man. I'm so excited that you are in the building. Man, get my credentials up here. There we go, man. Get my credentials in the building. How y'all doing today, man? I see y'all, some people already pulling up to the stream, man. Thank you for pulling up. Hey, comment for your boy. Y'all know I love my people, man. So comment below. Let me know. You know, who you are and what you got going, man. And we're going to get going soon. I can't wait for y'all to meet another incredible guest tonight. And I know normally we tape on Mondays, but I tell y'all why I'm taping on a Sunday evening today in a minute. But man, I'm so glad you're here. If you do not know, my name is Aloysius Ballard. I am an award-winning filmmaker, creative director. Man, I love marketing and just strategy and things of that nature. But most importantly, man, I love connecting with people. See, I love just the organic part of what makes us human in our communities and the way we can grow and scale together. If you know, just give you a little more insight into who I am. So I grew up here in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. My family, my parents, my dad was a minister, then he became a pastor. And through my time in church and ministry, I realized that, you know, there was a lot of things about people that often went neglected. A lot of people had dreams. People come to church, man, they have their dreams, they have their ambitions. But a lot of times, man, we fall short because life doesn't always make it easy. And because of that, man, I wanted to make sure, and I learned at an early age, that sometimes we just need encouragement. So as I continue to grow into a creative, I end up meeting people along the way, and people just always love being around me. So I developed this knack where I could attract people, and then I figured out that I could get people to work together for a common cause. And that's how I really got into production, being able to just make people aware of the possibilities that they have within them. And sometimes that means we got to work with other people. And, you know, with that being said, man, I ended up getting into these productions and things that allowed me to grow as a producer, and I met some incredible people around the way. So that's how we got to this podcast, The World According to Lo, is where I introduce people to some of these amazing people that I commune with, that I have relationships with, that I know are tried and true, and have something worthwhile to talk about. I want to take 5 seconds. Shout out to Jacqueline Slater. Jackie, what up? Thank you for joining the pod tonight. Man, hold up, man. I got to get some claps. My auntie is in the building. Hey, Auntie Bob, man, I love you. I hope you're doing great today. Man, y'all show my auntie some love. Her name is Barbara Copeland in there. Y'all make sure y'all give her some love. She was my auntie. Let me tell y'all something about I'm glad Auntie Bob is in here. My Auntie Bob was the one who would be in there. Y'all remember when BT had like all the little like dance shows, like New Edition would be on, you know, doing all they little routines, and Ralph Tresvant and all them. Auntie would be the one in there in the living room with us dancing. So she was always just like energetic and just had so much love to give to all of us. And I'm not gonna say I can't say she my favorite auntie, because my mom's sisters will just, yeah, I don't want to start no problems, but my Auntie Bob knows I love her so much. Now I want to get to my guest today. Um, and his name is Devon Edwards. He is currently a committee member of, man. Look. I'm reading some of this because my brother's bio is stacked. This dude is a powerhouse. So he is a member of the Hollywood Professional Association for what he calls YEP. He says the terminology is YEP, but YEP stands for Young Entertainment Professionals. It's a mentor program they have, but he is also the post-production coordinator for a show you probably heard by now called Snowfall. So if you don't know who Snowfall is, Snowfall is an amazing show. Matter of fact, the star of the show is getting not only some attention for the show itself as the new season is coming upon us, but he's also now dating Lori Harvey, who is Steve Harvey's daughter. But we not the gossip blog podcast, so we'll talk about that later. Shout out to Jerome Banks who pulling up. Hope you're having a good evening too, brother. Happy for you to join us on the pod. But Devon was also in the military, and he served in the Navy. Hold on. He served in the Navy, he served in the Army, and this brother served in the Air Force. I don't even know how you do that. But hey, man, you see what kind of person I'm bringing to the table today. He also has a bachelor's in cinematic arts and science from the prestigious Columbia College in Chicago, and a master's in cinema production from DePaul University. Now, I don't want to go through all of this because I really want you to meet the amazing guy that I have. So welcome to the podcast. Let's add him to the stream. There he is. Let me give you some clap. Now, Devon, before we get started, I'm glad I added you to the pod, but there's a part of the show that I have to do first. And I can't believe I forgot. I'm so excited to get you in here, but you're going to have to be a part of the choir. So I don't know. Have you ever been in a choir, Devon?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I have.
So this is the part of the show that everybody can participate with. It's the intro song. It's my intro to my podcast. Okay. So if this is your first time, I expect you to have this by the next time you listen to a podcast. Okay. So it's very simple, and you just clap along. Okay. But we're going to get it in. All right. Come on, Devon. There we go. So like you already know, come on, it's gonna be a good show. It's the world according to Lo. Hey, so let's sit and grow. It's gonna be a good show.
All right.
Hey, there we go. I got my boy Devon in the building, man. Devon, say what's up to the people, man.
What's good? That was a dope intro. I ain't gonna learn it next time. I'm gonna get like 2 more times. But yo, what's good, my brother?
Hey, man, I'm happy to have you here, man. I know I didn't do all the justice of what you deserve when it comes to your bio and everything, man. But I just really want people to meet you, man. From the time I met you, we were talking about this off stage, backstage. I think we met during my time at Full Sail, and we were just online and kind of had a conversation and connected and just went from there. But I told you earlier that one thing that I loved about your ability is just how real you are and consistent you remain. So, for me, that was something that really made me want to ensure that I stay connected to you, because real people,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
say this, are hard to find,
yeah, yeah.
especially in our industry.
That is true. That is so true. I even like started my production company that's going to be launching here soon, based off that concept. They say when you come to LA or go into any industry or a new place, that you've never ventured into before, they always say, make sure you find your tribe.
Yeah.
you know well, in doing so, not everybody, like I even raised my kids with this, not everybody who say they with you, you know what I'm saying, because everybody who say they with you ain't with you, and they just waiting for that opportune time to take advantage of, or whatever it is you was providing for them. So I said, with my company, no, you need to find your true tribe, those true like-minded individuals that are like, they're just 100% real with you, real with the intention between the relationships and everything like that. So I name my company True Tribe Productions, because I just only want to work with those as part of the True Tribe and not those other players out there.
I like that, man. That's really just a great title, because now, going through life, man, in the way that people are just, trying to find out who they are, and they discover their identity. Like, when you can get with people who hold you accountable, who say, hey man, I can care about you and your plight as well as myself, get with them folks and stay with them, man. you
Right.
know but let's talk about some of that. Before we get to there, let's go back to the beginning. I want to bring it back. How did you even get into this field, man? Because you got to, the military side of it alone is already, I know there's stories there,
Yeah.
but
Oh
I
yeah.
want to keep you on the film side tonight. So what was your introduction into film?
Well, incidentally enough, it was when I was on a deployment in support of Iraq. I had a handy cam, a high 8 millimeter Sony camera, and when we would go out on our patrols, I would record our patrols, like the routes we would take and stuff like that. And, some of the stuff we would do to like pass the time or whatever. So we used to make mockumentary videos of Pimp My Ride, but it would be like Iraqi style. And it'd be somebody with like a car cut in half, and then attached to that other half of the car is a horse, and he'd be like, the
Yeah,
ingenuity of these people. So we would do stuff like that. And so when I came back from the deployment, I always would cut the videos together and just show them to the soldiers. And then somebody was like, you should go like study something like that. But I wasn't really into it. It wasn't until after I got out that another friend kind of like poured into me, and then off I went.
man, it's funny how life like places us on paths that we don't know we need
Right.
until we see the fruition of them. And I know from our time, you've given me a lot of insight into the industry and a lot of things of that nature. And one thing I know you probably attest to your time in the military is that you always are serving.
Hmm.
You will, like, every time I look up, you're serving someone in some capacity. You're serving someone in a measure where, like, you get joy from seeing them grow and benefit. And
Right.
even recently, I saw you posted about the her name, the lady that we end up giving to, um, that was raising money for her production, and I see she got it. She did it. Tanya,
Yeah.
isn't that her name?
Yeah. Yeah. I think. I don't know. It's so many I can't remember.
See
I'll
that?
have to go check back.
I'm trying to get to that point where I'm blessing so many people. It's just
Yeah.
like I can't remember who I was blessing. But
Tamika
Tamika,
Bristow.
I knew it.
Tamika.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew it was a T. But
Yeah.
I love that because she said, like, she made a comment like, "Man, I can't believe y'all sewing into like this, like that." And I said, "Well, Devon shared it and said it was a worthy cause."
Mm.
And just on the strength of me knowing who you are and the way you carry yourself, I didn't need any other information or convincing.
I
And
appreciate that. Yeah.
I want to talk about it because is it something that you've always been cognizant of? Because here's why I'm asking. A lot of times we don't consider what people say outside of us being in a room
Mm.
or outside of our presence. But you carry yourself, and since the time I've known you, you carry yourself in a way that always allows your name to be very well spoken of, even in your absence. So is that something you've always been like aware of or you consider, or is it just who you are?
Honestly, it was a transformation, because I wasn't always like that. I was a completely different person. And if I'm being completely honest, if it wasn't with my relationship with God,
Yeah.
oh man, they get like a whole different me, but now it's like growing in that relationship and understanding like what God sacrificed, for me to like be here and to do what it is that I have a desire to do that can give him glory. It was I don't know, it was just something that I said, he served me, so I just love being of service, and we're all called to serve, and I just feel like, one, it's enough room at the table for everybody to eat, so it makes no never mind to me to hoard this information, and why not share it, so yeah, I just try to just be who I am, and it's like I trust people to be who they are, it's a deeper reason, I don't know if you want to go into that right now, but it was a moment in my life that things had got so low
Yeah.
that I attempted suicide. I tried to blow my brains out. I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, spent a year in a hospital doing chemotherapy, blood transfusions, dialysis, doctors telling me I had 24 hours to live. And then it's like, oh, get your affairs in order. You only got 5 years, and then my wife got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and then my daughter was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and then my mom was battling Alzheimer's. I was like, yo, I had enough. So I decided to do something about it, and tried to swallow a 9mm bullet, but
Man.
God said no. The gun jam. As I pulled the trigger, the gun jam. I mean, this is a brand new Glock. You hear what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
had been handling weapons for 17 years prior to this attempt. So I knew what I was doing. So yeah, God said no, and as clear as I'm talking to you right now, I heard God speak to me. He said, "This sickness is not unto death. Whose report will you believe?"
Boy, if I had a Hammond organ right there, I'd have hit it.
You know what I mean? So it
Boy,
was like
come on now.
he was like, "Well, whose report will you believe?" And I was like, "You know what? I choose to believe your report." And it was that moment, because I had came so close to death that I understood it. That now I understood what it really meant to like live life, so it's
Yeah.
like live life in abundance. This life don't owe me nothing, no way. I owe it to myself to live the best possible life that I'm capable of, and that's how, according to how it looks to me, it's not dictated by Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, shadow and act, or
Yeah.
whatever, what I'm saying. And so it's just like I want to be the best version of me. So I said, God, make my life infectious. Make it so infectious that people can't help but to feel good simply because I'm in the room. I don't have to say nothing to nobody, but because I'm there, they can't help but feel good. And I believe, with that's why people speak of me the way they do when I'm not around.
Hey, hey, we gonna celebrate that right now.
Yeah.
Because listen, and I didn't know your response was going to be that.
Right.
But
Right.
I understand why God had me ask you that, because Devon, like seriously, we see the glory of what somebody carries after the trial and the
Mhm.
testimony, but like going through that, you don't know that's the reward that comes from you just like going through it and just staying faithful, man. Like I can't imagine what it's like to hear that. Like
Right.
I've been in situations, and there's something about being face to face with death. I
Mhm.
remember one time, like when we had our son, when Caden was born, I almost like my wife literally almost died in front of me, and I remember the like the chillness of the room. Like there's something in the atmosphere when death shows up. Like
Mhm.
if you have never experienced it, like thank God you haven't. But I remember like just things in there, like it just felt different. And to see somebody come back from that, to see
Mhm.
somebody to be blessed by God to endure a scenario like that is life changing. And it's to the point where you don't want to waste. Bro, life is precious.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And I tell people, like, look, you don't get no do-overs. This is like it. This is it, you know. And so like why not live life in abundance like every day? You know what I'm saying? Now I know what I believe happens when I die.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to see that happen right now. So
No,
it's
we
like,
ain't done yet. We
you
ain't
know, yeah. So while I'm here, I want to live my life in abundance, and so it's like I don't have time to entertain the negativity. So it's like I always want to like be around positive people, positive energy, positive vibes. And if someone does present themselves in a negative manner, then it's like I then want to turn into the servant and be like, okay, let me help you out because I know what it feels like to be like so low that it's like I'm just done. You know what I'm saying? And then God comes in, because his word said he'll come in and he'll lift up a standard.
yeah.
I'm not on here trying to preach. So
No, hey, I see you. You look like a preacher then. I ain't up here trying to
I,
preach, but let me hey man, listen, on my podcast, man, anybody that's on here is somebody that I know and love. I wouldn't invite you here if I didn't want you to be who you are.
right.
So, like, man, this testimony, because I love the way we're flowing, because people, we want to go from the start to the finish line.
Hmm.
But all that race in between is when you really find out who you are. And I know when I ran track, I remember one time, like I grew up fast. So like I've always been a fast kid. I used to win all the races at my elementary schools. Like I would come home with all these ribbons. Like my mama had, you remember the old school white Bible that sat in the living room, nobody touched,
Nobody touched.
had your birth certificate, had your social security card, all this stuff. And
Sunday school baptism.
listen, all of it, your little footprints from the hospital, everything that was about our life, you could find in this Bible. And she would put these ribbons in there. But I remember when I first had to compete for real
Mhm.
in track and having to run a race where other people are trying to strive for the same goal is a different experience than you just out talenting somebody
Mhm.
and there's no adversity.
Mhm.
So I say that because we see people, like even in bio, I'm talking about how you working on Snowfall and all that stuff sounds great. You're on the committee of the film industry and you're helping mentor young entertainment professionals. Like, bro, all that stuff is great,
Mhm.
but you just don't end up there because people don't understand none of that would have been possible had God not intervened.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then and then on top of that, I want to talk about how did you transition? Because for you to go from a man who was couldn't take no more to turning around in the road to say, no, I'm going to live this life that I have. that's a renewing of your mind.
Oh
So
yeah.
how was that process um for you to just start changing? Because you got to change everything. You still got to address the problems. Wife
Hmm.
had still had her situation. Daughter had her situation. Moms was dealing with that, and then you still trying to recover from your experience. So how did you manage all of that?
I tell you, in the beginning, it was like really, really difficult because it was just like at the time I was a youth pastor at the church. I was preaching and teaching God's word. I had just came back from Europe pastoring a church, while I was deployed, and here I am, uh, the minister, the preacher, attempting suicide.
No,
Because
no, the preachers don't go through nothing, man.
yeah, no, it's like you're right. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all Cadillacs and whatever, but
Yeah,
no
and offerings.
offerings and
Yeah,
but I was man, I was struggling with my faith. Now, here's the interesting thing. You hear people testify and they say, I knew God to be
yeah.
a healer because I heard sister so and so, talk about her healing. I knew God to be a provider because brother so and so was talking about his thing. The illuminating moment for me, if you will, is when I had that personal moment with God.
Yeah.
And it was no longer I knew him to be, I knew him as. Because
Mm,
it was like I knew him to be because I seen him do it for everybody else. And everybody said, if he do it for me, he'll do it for you. I was just waiting for my turn. And it was just always to be. Not that I had everything all together. It was just my mindset and how I approached it. But when God did that for me, it was like, well, now I just had this personal experience. I know him as, you know, I get to hold on tighter to that, you know. And so yeah, it just my perspective just changed and my mindset was just it was just different, man. It was just different, you know.
hey, listen, you churching in here, boy. I gotta get some hooping tracks in here for my friends that be coming in here churching, man. Cause
Mm,
you're saying good stuff. And one of the things I love about this podcast platform is that we really want to build people. It's an educational tool. It empowers. Like I tell people all the time, I want to entertain you, yes, but I also want to educate you and I want to empower you. If we can do all three of those, you will become enthusiastically able to go out and create change in your life. And I believe that that formula of E will really just set us in motion. Because when you listen to what you just said, a lot of times, and we both grew up in church,
mm.
you see us, we get into a point where our state of mind is just repetitive. It's like,
But
bro,
wait, I didn't grow up in church. I just want to correct that.
wait a minute, what?
I didn't.
When you spent you were youth pastoring,
Yeah, I mean, I started going to church in my mid 20s. Before that, I didn't believe in God. You know,
Devon, you
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Uh,
learning so much. Okay. All right, we gotta unpack that real quick. So you 20 something, you don't you before that you didn't believe in God.
I didn't believe in God. Now, I would say I was more agnostic than atheist. I believed in a higher being, but this concept of God and what everybody talked about, yeah, my life wasn't dictating that type of God that they was talking about. I mean, I'm
So
telling
you
you, yeah,
you and God had some unfinished business.
we
That's why.
we we
That's why.
had
That's
some,
why he was like, "Oh no, this ain't happening. Let me jam this so we can
yeah,
get a real face to face meeting."
yeah. Me and God,
Woo.
we was squabbling back then. It was different because people look at me now and like you was kind of like mentioning earlier, they come for the glitz and the glam and the fame and the celebrity of this industry, but don't understand like the underbelly, and a lot of these writers of these shows that you love so much. I mean, some of them are broken and they're dealing with a lot, and we going through therapy and things of that nature, and it's and a lot of this story that you're going over and watching on television is a reflection of a part of us, because it's a piece of us in everything that we create. A character could be a family member. You know what I'm saying? A situation can be something that we went through personally. So I just think it's important to understand, man, we came from someplace. I tell people, a buddy of mine, he was in a film called Restored Me, and the tagline of that film was, I don't look like what I've been through.
Mm.
You see me now, but if I was to tell you, like before, like I said, I didn't believe in God because, my mother was a single mom. My dad really wasn't, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, he was active, but not like
Present.
present. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I love my father. Don't get me wrong. I think he was an amazing man. He had his flaws like most of us, but
We still
he,
love Pops. Yeah, Pops is
yeah, he
hard.
wasn't,
Yeah.
my mom was single, and she had 6 kids, and 2 were murdered, you know what I'm saying? And one was, had his battle with substance abuse, another one was in and out of prison, and then she had her babies, me and my twin brother. I'm a twin, you know. And she married this man who was abusive in every sense of the word,
Yeah.
abusive to her, abusive to us, my sister who was murdered, by her husband, he killed himself. He was abusive to her. This was in Christmas Eve, one year, and she was trying to leave that abusive relationship. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the idea of this God who said he loves me so much, me, 11, 12, I couldn't understand like
Why?
why. It looks like he hates us,
Oh man.
and so it wasn't until I came back from a deployment in Cuba. God was planting his seeds when I was in the Navy, because it was this guy everybody wanted to be with. I mean, no, everybody wanted to be like this one dude. His name was Charles Weaver. So hopefully he's out there. If anybody know Charles Weaver, he was the guy that was in the Navy with me on the USS Kidd. He was the most popular dude. Everybody wanted to be him.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be him. He was that dude. He went to church one day, came back. Charles changed, and he was throwing away all his music, changed up how he talked, how he dressed, and it was like he was a radical for God. But
Wow.
he, I guess, saw me out as a mission to turn his radical like ambitions onto me. So he would talk to me about God like every single day. And I was like, bruh, it is 323 other sailors on this boat alone.
Yeah.
Please go find another one of them. But every day, Charles was just on me. He gave me my first Bible. I leave the Navy, because I went through something in the Navy. I go to the Army. I get raped in AIT. I was in training and I got raped by a young lady. We had just graduated from class, and I had way too much to drink, and had a couple of blackouts, Then I woke up one morning. I won't go into the details, but I had a situation. The first thing this soldier said to me was like, you can go tell who you want to go tell, because ain't nobody gonna believe you because you're a man and I'm a woman, and sure enough, I did go report it. And just like she said, the officer that I reported it to said, I don't think you was raped, I just think you was upset because you can't remember your performance, so now you have to deal with that trauma. And I'm like, yo, God, like, where are you? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? And it was just something. I was married at the time. I came back from Cuba. I had so much resentment and everything in me that I started like, mistreating my wife.
Yeah.
Not physically anything
No,
like that.
yeah.
I was just mistreating her. And it was a message in this one church that we went to. It was like my second time visiting there. The pastor preached a word about husbands not doing their wives right, and everything this pastor said, I kind of looked at my wife like, yo, y'all been talking before we got here, because the pastor was all in my business. And I gave my life to Christ that night, and then the process started to change, and a lot of the old me started to fall off, and then the new me, started to grow. And Here I am now.
Devon, man, listen, I'm so just it's so interesting how our purpose
Mm.
in life, literally, like, and I want everybody listening to just really understand our purpose in life oftentimes cost us the most uncomfortable of situations. And I remember hearing somebody minister one time that the precious oil is often crushed greater than any other process in the world, right? Like for you to get like find out like the most exquisite olive oil or whatever, that pressing and that crushing is something that only allows the sacrifice, and that's how he says the sacrifice yields the most useful and valuable oil that we see in our lives. And hearing all these things you've endured, and for God to transition you from that to where you begin to write, become a writer. Like,
Because I got stories to tell now.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like for
life taught me something. Yeah.
like for such a time as this, man, where you seeing depression at an all-time high, you seeing people literally committing suicide because they feel like there's no other way out. You seeing all these things going on, and there's someone who can stand and say, wait. I know what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And I can articulate it to where you know that where you're trying to write a period, God is putting a comma, and we're doing things where your story ain't done yet.
Yeah, I'm telling
Don't
you.
give up, because Divine, I'm telling, man, I'm blown. I would have never known any, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we walk by, and you know what? And this is why I tell people all the time. My mother always taught me that, you know, treat people with kindness, because you never know what somebody is going through.
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody could be living in a nightmare that we aren't a part of.
That's
You think
right.
they just in Walmart and they trying to understand, like, I got $2.15, but he told me if I don't come back with enough food to fix him something to eat,
Yeah.
he gonna get me, mama gonna get it. We never know the dynamics of what people are surviving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I want to transition a little bit, because I love how we're unveiling these layers, because you know, to go from a valley experience to God rewarding you.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel for you to see like the desires of your heart begin to manifest? Because I know when we met, the stuff you're doing now was things you were aspiring to do,
Yeah.
like back then.
Yeah. Same with you. I was, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it's um you have these euphoric moments, because sometimes, you don't think about it like all the time. You just like days, maybe months, maybe even a year or two will go by, and then you just stop one day and you just start to like look back and you just see like, yo, what was I thinking? Like I always think about my suicide attempt. I was like, I had the nerve to pull the trigger. Like, yo, what? And when you think about that, and then you think about that time span, of all that life you've lived,
Yeah.
and up until where you are right now, it's like, man, I would have never been able to, experience any of that, because I gave up not on myself, but I gave up on the possibility, of what God could do, and I just think, I mean, it just fills me every day, because I just like, man, yo, I remember when, You know, everybody got that. Oh, I remember when. You
Yeah.
know, and it's crazy. You know, and it gives me like encouragement to like. I mean, God said He would give me the desires of my heart. You know, but I have the understanding that that desire has to give Him glory. You know, because if it's going to give me glory and for a vain reason, God's not going to bless me with that. You know, He's jealous. He told us that, right? So it's like whatever He gives me, you know, I said I always consider myself the taboo preacher. You know, I want to preach about or teach about the stuff that churches don't really like to talk about, you
Yeah.
know. And I say, let's get to the real, because, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's a lot of us, it's a lot of Davids out there, you know, and it's like, you know, and so I said, God, I mean, if you just allow me to be like 100% authentic, you know, and how I feel, you know, because there's a lot of people, believers, who feel like I feel like, man, I'm at the end of my rope. You know, I may let a few, you know, choice words slip out of my mouth. You
Yeah.
know, I may not tell a complete truth, you know, in order to get a favorable action. You know, a lot of us
Yeah. Come on,
favorable
man.
action. We'll give an untruth, you know,
I
because
have
our
to.
need is dire. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I was just like, God, you know, I just want to be like 100% authentic with the people, you know, and just show them, and like, and that's this way I can edify the body of Christ, because they get to see somebody like me telling the same stories that they're going through, like right now. Like you just said, somebody in Walmart with $2.15, and this man said, if
Bruh.
I don't, like, yo, my mom went through it just by not recording an episode of Good Times, you know. And back then, I mean, Good Times was a syndicate show, so it was already in repeat and rotation on reruns, you know. So it's like the episode you missed that
What's
early afternoon, it
Yeah.
played again that evening. And yo, I mean, I'm telling you, y'all, it's just interesting. So God just allowed me to endure and go through all of this, from my childhood to the three branches of the military, you know, what I've endured, you know, and up until this point right now, I have, man, a plethora of stories to tell, you know, some comedic, you know. I always say I'm a subject matter expert at drama because I've known mostly drama my entire life.
You've
But
been engulfed in it. Yeah.
yeah, I've been, it's like that's what raised me, you know. Um, some of the stuff I write is comedic though, because it's like,
You have to have
yeah,
comedy, bruh, to survive mentally those scenarios. You have to have something that makes you laugh. Like you
yeah,
have to find your own glimmer of just some type of joy. And you know, it is because here's the thing, man. We often live voyeuristic. So
mhm,
we look on from the outside in, and we make our own perceptions about what that person is doing.
right,
You know, I literally just had this conversation with someone who was saying, you know, people who grow up with money shouldn't complain. And I told him, I said, I had friends whose parents were millionaires growing up. And I remember them wanting to spend more time at my house than their mansion, because there was
mhm,
no, when I say there was no love in the
yeah,
house, it had marble floors. They had, and every day their parents would leave like $100 on the counter, like, here
mhm,
you go, and they wouldn't see them till the next day. And nobody cared about if they ate, what time they came home, if they went to sleep. And it was like to the degree of, you know, people just wanted to just buy them to be quiet. Don't be a problem for me. I'm trying to do
right,
what I'm doing. And we look at things, and we look at the house, and we look at the cars, and we be like, oh, I want those things. When you have more value and more wealth within your own life right now. You
right,
know? And you know, those are, and that's why I'm glad you're sharing this, because like, man, going forward, we have to make sure we have people or things in our lives like this platform that will allow you to have some truth and some accountability
right,
about that. Now, sometimes we put ourselves in situations that we don't have to be in.
This is true. So very true.
Because I want to make sure we like we quick to play victim,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I see people every day playing victim, and and as a person, we study life differently because we see it from a film or a documentary standpoint.
Hmm.
And my kids, they always get upset with me about this because I tell them, you know, I'm going to watch you before I say something. If I say something, the filmmaker in me, I
Right,
want
right.
to make sure I have it is factual.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody people be like, why you always looking at me? We be in class in school, the teacher always it's like you said earlier, it's 30 other people in here, man. Why are
Yeah.
you singling me out?
Exactly. Yeah.
But you never know who's watching you.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's crazy. Cause a lot of us are suffering in silence. We wear a smile on our face, but man, we struggling on the inside, we just looking for somebody just like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, you know. But yeah, so but that's like all that backstory, just brings me like to the type of, filmmaker I want to be.
yeah,
I'm aspiring to be. I don't want to, overutilize the word, authenticity. Because
now
that word gets thrown around a lot. We're all authentic, in who we are because we may have similar life experiences, but
yeah,
they're not the same because we experience it in different places and different times with different people,
yeah.
but so any story that may sound similar, it's authentic in what it is being presented, so yeah, man, it's just all this is just it, all those frowns and tears,
Yeah,
and cries, man, just built up all the smiles, the laughter, and the fun right now because it's like I've endured it, you know, I know it's possible.
yeah.
So let me just go ahead and live this life, as best as I know how, and have the most fun as I can, and not try to offend too many people.
So let's pivot a little bit because one of the things I know you're very passionate about and that you dedicated a lot of your time to, because one thing I know that you also did was recently win an award. I believe it's the Gail Stevens Award.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Now tell us what that was and where you received that at.
So the Gail Stevens Award is an award for volunteerism at Sundance Film Festival for the Sundance Institute. It is in honor of a volunteer we had previous before who was a dedicated volunteer to Sundance and had an untimely, passing,
Yeah,
and so in honor of her, they started honoring volunteers with an award in her name. So I won that in 2020 for like all the stuff that I was doing for Sundance. We have this private Facebook group called Homeless at Sundance. It was created by a friend of mine. She created it to bring volunteers together that was going to the festival so that we can like share accommodations to make our living situation a lot cheaper. So I managed that, and then I was just anybody who had any questions about volunteering for Sundance, I would jump on that and answer it. And then while I was volunteering at Sundance, I was a huge advocate for volunteers. Like if something wasn't quite what I felt like it should be for the volunteers, because I understood that a lot of people are taking vacations to come volunteer. They're taking like no pay. A lot of us aren't getting paid. We
yeah.
paying to travel from wherever we are to Park City, Utah. Some people are coming from across the pond, from London and all these different places to dedicate our time. You know, it's like I just wanted to make sure we had a place, you know, to gather. And I wanted Sundance to understand that, we're sacrificing a lot, So I just wanted to make our voice heard that, like, hey, do right by us, because we're definitely doing right by you. So with all of that, they chose to honor me and give me this award for Sundance. So
That's cool. Now, Um, since I've known you and you've been on me, I'm gonna make a Sundance. I am. You see me saying it in public right now.
Yeah. So
Um,
all you got all the in a cloud of witnesses. Y'all heard him. He said it.
um, but like, let's break down the importance of what Sundance is, like from your viewpoint, because you've volunteered over 10 years, over a decade, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So what do you feel like Sundance is and brings to the culture and why it's so important?
Well, me personally, I think it's an opportunity, on a grander scale, for creatives to be seen. I used to work a lot of their artist development labs over the summer, and I seen how Robert Redford really wanted to pour into the independent filmmaker, and give these, new creatives an opportunity to develop their voice and then share it with the world. And I was just so intrigued by that. So I feel like Sundance does a great job of giving you the exposure, and the assistance through their programs, because they put you in front of people that typically you would never have the opportunity to,
Yeah.
right? And then actually coming to the festival itself, bro, it's in my perspective, you know, um, you get to meet so many amazing people. You get to go see films that you typically wouldn't go see, because every time I go to Sundance, there's a few that is like must sees for me. But for the most part, is just I want to explore. I want to be, surprised by what it is that I see, because there's a lot of filmmakers out there. They're sharing their voice with the world. Sundance is giving them this platform, and some of them build careers from that. So I think it's imperative for any creative, whether you're a writer, director, actor, whatever it is you do, because everybody who's anybody that has information that you need to know, they're in this one place
Yeah.
for a common goal. And you can be amongst them riding a bus, standing in line, shopping at the supermarket, because we all like we
And
swarm.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's just phenomenal. So yeah, and I'm not paid by Sundance Institute
not yet.
whatsoever
Not
to sing
yet.
all these praises.
Now, I want to talk about that because you're in LA, you're working in the industry, so you get to see it on both sides. You go there, you volunteer, and have any of those relationships and friendships there travel back and benefited you in LA in your career?
um, that's a great question. That was a really great question, though. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. I'm gonna say yes, in different ways, well, yes, 100%. Because listen, okay, here's the truth about I mean, this industry is
Give me some authenticness right here.
the industry is all about the relationship, you know, because here I thought I was doing something by going to college and get these degrees, cinematic arts and science, learning all these fancy words and terms, and a master's in cinema production. I've been out here in this industry. I've been in LA for 5 years. I've been in the industry for 10. Not a single time has anyone ever asked
About your
me
degree.
about my degree. No one has ever asked where I went to school, what I
Come on.
studied. Nobody's ever asked. The only thing they cared about is, was I cool enough to be able to work consistently with for like 6 to 16 weeks, because you spend time with these people. So it's about relationships. It's relationship based,
Yeah.
that's the truth, you get out here, you meet people, and it's like a lot of the jobs that I received is from the word of mouth of someone who I met and that I served
Yeah.
in
There's
in a
that
in
word
a in
again.
a good way. You know what I'm saying? That it was manifested, in a different way for me. So it's about building relationships. I just had a meeting Friday with an executive, and it was kind of like an advice, because I was like, I want to transition to the next step
Yeah.
or the next level. How do I recognize what that is and how do I make that transition? And after our conversation, she clearly stated, which I believe to be true. She said, that executive level or that next higher up position is not going to come from like interview with a stranger. It's going to come from somebody, one of these people that you've interacted with or developed a relationship with over this last period of time. That's who it's going to come from, because they know me, they know my value, they know what I add, to whatever it is that they're trying to do. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So it's all about relationship, being a good person. I mean, and I will say this, it's definitely about who and but I'm gonna say, okay, it's about who you know, but more importantly, it's about who knows you. Because you can say such and such and so
Yeah.
and so. But if somebody asks such and so, hey, do you know Devon? And they go like, who's Devon? So it's more importantly like who knows you, So that way they can like
So let's start right here, because I told you I like the podcast to be educational. And my faithful listeners, shout out to the loyalty crew. They know I sing this song all the time. I was a kid from Mississippi who literally was in a market that had no experience. I literally built my career by doing the stuff nobody wanted to do. Everybody was chasing, trying to be around the celebrities. I was like putting the tables together, folding boxes, and making the FedEx runs in the snow.
yeah, yeah,
like we need somebody. Anytime I heard we need someone to, I would raise my hand. And then I never forget, one day I was they do the gift bags for the celebrities.
yep,
We
yeah.
had 2,000. Listen, we had
And
2,000
swag bags.
swag bags to put together. Nobody wanted to do them. Thankfully, back home, we have casino industry here. So I used to work in banquet setup where
Mhm.
we would have to do all these things for events and productions. So I said, I'll help. And they said, what do you need? I know the industry.
Yeah,
What do you need? And
yeah.
they said, well, first, she said, what do you like to be called? And then what do you need? So I said, well, you can call me Low. I just need some 8-foot tables and like just a couple of people to help me. So she
Mhm.
was like, done. She brought me like 3 volunteers, and I told them we're gonna make an assembly line. And all we're gonna do, you have a job, and once your job that's finished, I'm gonna give you something else, but we're gonna work them. We got
Yeah.
all 2,000 bags done. And as we're sitting them in these rooms for these celebrities, a group of people, I never forget it, man. It was like one of the most pivotal points in my career. A group of people came in, they all suited up, and even the ladies had little suits on. Like they walked in and they said, the lead guy, I didn't know he was the lead guy at the time, said, we got it done. And the lady that had spoke to me earlier was in the group with them and said,
Right.
yes, y'all need to, let's thank Lowe because he oversaw this.
Yeah.
They said, oh, are you from Chicago? Or I said, no, I'm not from Chicago. Oh, you must be from Atlanta. Like, no, you in New York? No, no. And they said, where you from then, son? I said, I'm from Mississippi. And they said, Mississippi. Everybody, like, how everybody like DJ Scratch, Mississippi. And I said, yeah. And I said, man, I just want to get into this industry. Like, there's none of this back home. I was doing what you were doing. I had to pay my way. I was volunteering. Like,
Mhm.
there was no money coming. Like, it was just me trusting my process in God. And man, do you know, before that man gave me his card and said, hey, I want you to call my office Monday. And it was like maybe 2 days later. So he was like, call my office on Monday. Don't be late. Call my office. And because I didn't realize how like important he was. He had that one little window where he could
Yeah.
talk to me for about 5 minutes. And that's how I started being an associate producer, man. Like, all of that changed everything else about it. And from then, like, my name started to go where people understood you're the guy that handled so and so, and like he's an asset. Like he ain't trying to be around the celebrities. He will actually get the work done. And I tell people that like how you carry yourself. If you're a selfish person, that doesn't leave you with many opportunities to build real relationships.
Right.
Like I love how you promote serving, and I know you to be a person who serves. And because of that, I see the fruits that stem from that. So with that being said, let me ask you this. Someone's probably, because everybody's changing careers right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now everybody content creators, or they doing.
Everybody on TikTok.
Bro, when I tell you, like, no lie, I get at least 3 to 5 people asking me what kind of camera they need to be an influencer every week.
Oh man, I get those. Oh my gosh, it's like, wait, what?
I'm like,
yeah.
Man, come, listen, don't. Not unless you really understand how this works. But in that, I would ask you this: what advice do you have somebody that says, "Hey, maybe it's me, maybe it's my nephew, maybe it's my niece. They want to be in the film industry. They love production." What advice will you give them to start with a strong foundation?
Do they research like because I always tell people like this industry is not for the faint at heart, and if your primary focus is to get into this industry to make money, just go ahead and change careers right now, because you're going to be thoroughly disappointed, so, but I would say do your research, and make sure you're intentional about what it is that you want to do, and understand what that is, and study the greats, study those that came before you, because the very second you start to think that you're doing something new, I mean, guess what? It was done probably back in the 30s or 40s, but you don't know because you hadn't done your research, but, and then the last thing I'll say, don't quit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to get bumpy. It's going to get windy. It's going to get cold, and you'll have some hot moments, but when it gets cold and bumpy and windy, just don't quit. You hear people in the industry say it took them 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, it's some validity in that statement. You got to pay your dues, but and then the last thing was just don't silence your voice. Be true to who you are. Do not silence your voice, because you're viewing this world in your eyes, and only you understand how you see it. So don't silence your voice. Speak up. And live your truth. Yeah.
Now, listen, I wanted to take a quick little break here because I want to go to some of the comments. Our wives are in the comments. So I got to shout out my wife. Hey, love, I thank you for pulling up. I love you. She's dropping some gems in here, talking about from pressure to purpose. I love that. My wife is a writer, so y'all share the same love of writing.
Yeah.
And then, shout out to Lindy, who said, love the transparency. I think I see Edwards in here a lot.
That's my sister, Lindy, my sister, and Dawn is my wife.
Dawn is your wife. Yeah.
A beautiful day. That's my daughter.
Okay. Got the whole family here. Listen, I love Devon like he's my own brother. So thank y'all for sharing him with me in my life. And then our girl Nicolette is out here. We call her Nikki. Nicolette is in the building. She said, "What up, guys? I'm late, but what's good?" Hey, man, we got to get her on. Nikki is such a talented, creative man, and I've watched her. We met in her genesis, man, and to see her now, she's constantly shooting in LA. She's with Erica Campbell and all them doing work, and that's why I love how.
Stop. You said Erica Campbell.
Yeah,
that's my pastor. I go to Cali Worship Center.
You gotta see Nikki be in there, man. Yeah, she the
Yeah,
photographer.
yeah, I know, Nick. Yeah, okay. 6 degrees of separation. It was like
Yeah,
I had to put the two together because we all have these different names, like like when you said your name at the beginning of the podcast, it's like I always known you as Low. That's all I knew
yeah,
you had. But when you said your name, I was like, okay, yeah, I ain't gonna call him that. Low is his name.
yeah. Everybody call me a lot. Like that's what I'm known in the industry. Everybody says, "Oh, Low, yeah, I know Low."
Yeah,
That
yeah. And then
Mississippi
my
thing.
twin is in here too. My twin brother's in here too.
Man, we got the whole family
Oh,
in here, man. Shout out to the Edwards, man. Love y'all,
yeah,
man.
we
Now,
run deep.
yeah, so that's we appreciate them pulling up. And Nikki laughing at you, man. Hey, but I want to pivot a little bit because I'm glad your family pulled up because one of the questions I wanted to ask before we get out of here is how do you manage it all? Like being a writer, being so because our industry is so demanding. Like we do things and then there's the post process. So there's pre, during, and then post. And that's with
Hmm.
everything we create. So even if we shoot a video or we write a script, like there's always the refinement of what we do. But then our families need us. There's so many things, even our self care.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, how are you managing all of that?
Well, this is one of those moments, man, where I'm just blessed with a very supportive, family.
Give them flowers, brother. Come
Yeah,
on,
man.
they
My
right here watching. Come on,
Yeah,
give
I know, right? No, but in all honesty, they give me my wife gives me the authority to pursue my passion,
yeah,
and she without interference, and it's a beautiful thing, and to be supported, by your children, and like my twin, like my biggest supporters, and always, you know, uh, sometimes it get on my nerves because it's like I be want to say like, yo, it's not that easy.
yeah,
It's just not that easy. And then money motivates if
yeah.
um, but no, it's great because I get that freedom. I mean, I
That's a
sacrificed
big
so many years for the country.
that's a big deal though.
Yeah, it's
Like,
huge because like not a lot of people can't say they have that freedom to do that because they why like hey but I make sure let me make sure I be clear about this, man. I take care of everything at the house
yeah,
first,
yep,
and then so there's nothing lacking, at home. All the bills are getting paid by moi. I'm making sure, everything is being done, so that way that my wife doesn't have to worry,
yeah.
especially if I have to go like on a project somewhere and I'm gone for like, I don't know, like a month or so, there's no worry because I'm gonna make sure she has her peace of mind, so that way I have my peace of mind.
You doing your husband duties,
Yeah, doing her husband duties,
father duties, yeah,
father duties, and then I mean my kids, I mean it's crazy because um, when they encourage you, it's a funny feeling,
yeah,
because it's like, wait a second, man, I used to like wipe your butt, and change your diapers and
yeah.
and whatever. And here it is, like you pouring into me, I mean, it feels like really, really good. It's like I can't really explain it, because all we want as parents is to like, know that we did a good job with our kids. It's like, I mean, it's like they don't have to be, the doctors or the lawyers or whatever, whatever it is that they want to do, that's going to give them substance in life is like what we believe in them to do. And it's like to see them doing that and like to know that I didn't screw them up, that
Boy,
bad,
listen, I
you
say
know?
that all the time. I said as a dad, and my kids, like we are a very open and communicative family. So like I've apologized to my son about things that I've done in me figuring out how to be a dad, right? So some things like I reproduce based on my experiences growing up.
Yeah.
And I realized like those were things that I didn't like. So why would I pass them on to my child? Like, no, I need to stop, reflect, let's figure it out. So he laughs at me. My son, our son laughs at me because like the other day, right? So my wife gets on him because he's a gamer. So he likes to
Mhm.
have his gaming station, but he's eating, he's getting like Gatorades and like all this trash just culminates, but there's a trash can literally at the base of your like your desk. He won't do he doesn't use it, right? So my wife, she knows it's dirty in there and she just likes her house clean
Mm.
and she goes in there. So he comes in to me like, yo, my dad, mom, like she tripping again, man. I was gonna take it out. I said, but man, how many times does she gotta tell you?
Right,
So,
right.
so my one of my things as a dad is if it comes to me, then it becomes a problem. Then I got
Mhm.
now if you handle it and it don't come to me, you'll never hear dad mouth. But guess what? I gotta lay down with your mama. And if she ain't happy, you know I'm gonna fix it. And my kids, we had this thing where I tell them, y'all know I don't lie to you, right?
Right.
They all say, yeah, we know you don't lie. So if I tell you I'm gonna do something, you know I'm gonna do it. So I was telling him, I said, help daddy stay the Zen daddy. So if
Mm.
I raise my voice, I don't want to be that guy. Like, help me stay Zen. So I need you to do what you're supposed to do. I said, because you don't like that guy, right? Yeah, no, I don't like that guy. All right, well, dog, you got to come in here and you got to get the cooking. You got to own these responsibilities.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love that parenthood, you get to evolve, man. Like, I don't know where we started learning within our community that you can't ever be wrong. Like,
Yeah,
man, I didn't do it right. I didn't help you be the best you could be, but I'm gonna fix that. And like
yeah.
your kids look at you like, all right, dude, you might be all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's as a father, like my daughter, you know, her and I, we had, you know, a relationship, you know, it
Yeah,
was difficult at times, you know, and I mean, but she's like so much like me, you know, so it's like whenever I get into an argument with her, it's like I'm fighting myself, you know, and it's like
I know the struggles, brother.
I wanna win, you know.
Yeah,
So it's like as long as if you push, and I have forgot the delicacy,
yeah,
you know, in raising a daughter, you know, and I didn't do everything quite right. I didn't say everything quite right. You know, this is the transparency part.
yeah,
You know, like I said, I'm that taboo preacher. You know, I want to talk about stuff. I want to tell stories we don't like to talk about, you know.
yeah,
So it was a difficult time with me and my daughter, you know, and it took a lot of work, you know, on both our parts to like get to the relationship that we have right now, which is a great relationship. You know, now I've always been extremely protective of my kids, you
yeah.
know, like
Same.
it's just I was just pushing my daughter more
Yeah,
and harder than I should have. And I should have like, you know, softened it up, you know, a lot more than I did because I was just so hell bent on
yeah.
like ensuring that she didn't end up like my mom, you
Hmm.
know, or my sister, you know, like being with these men and just because like for me at that age, I couldn't understand like why don't you just leave? Just
Yeah,
why don't you just leave? You know, why are you staying with him? Why don't, you know, and for a long time I felt women were weak because of this disdain I had towards my mother and my sister because and it wasn't because I thought they were weak women, it was because these men were hurting them
yeah,
and they were stuck in that situation and it's like I'm witnessing them being hurt and I'm in a position where there's nothing I can do, you know. So it was like I was mad, you know. And so I would take that and I was trying to like pour it into my daughter, but I was being so aggressive and so, you know, whatever that I didn't, you know,
reacting out of your fear because
yeah,
you don't
reacting
want
out of
that.
my fear and just I was raising her in fear, you
Yep.
know, hoping that she doesn't like, you know. So I figured like if I'm tough on her, you know, then she can take it if some guy or whatever, whatever. Now I did take my daughter on dates, you know, and stuff like that. You know, I wasn't a complete tyrant, you know, but you know, there were some tyranny, you know, in
Yeah.
some of my behavior towards her, And it wasn't until, she got older and going to therapy and we had a conversation that, you know, I mean, you own up to your
Yeah,
mishaps and
I've
what
been
have
there.
you. So I'm just so proud of the woman she is today, and I mean, she just completely blows my mind. And, you know, um,
Let's give us some love, man.
yeah,
Hey,
man, if I had like a bit of the
I'm a
courage,
girl
she
dad,
doesn't
dog.
know.
So I
Yeah,
love it. I'm so proud of my daughter. And one of the things that I always try to work on is because my daughter and I are the same. Like man, that is my twin. And maybe we should start a dad's podcast, man. Maybe
yeah,
we do that because we don't know, man. And a lot of times, like we really our heart is to get it right. And
yeah,
I'm like, I tell my daughter all the time, like, I'm so proud of you. Like you are one of the greatest things I've ever done in life. Like
yeah.
forget all the work accolades and all that crap. Like, man, the moment I held you, like I could have done nothing else. Like
I'm
you were
telling you.
perfect, bruh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we do get lost in translation because we want to protect them from all this craziness in this world, man. But sometimes like we got to understand that they are our children and have learned what needs to be done and how to navigate it. And that's where I'm at now, where I'm trying to give her more freedom to experience life because you'll spend more time outside of me than with me. But I want you
yeah.
to know that I
Oh,
always,
that's good, man. I wish I had a clap button. Go
hey,
ahead, give
come
yourself
on,
some. Yeah, give yourself.
yeah.
That was good
Hey,
right there.
lessons learned, man.
That was
And
good.
truthfully, though, man, my wife, who is a super daddy's girl, helps me understand like that perspective because
Mhm.
nobody tells us as dads like how to break down the emotional side of fatherhood. Like
Man, bruh.
that was and that's a whole other pie, man, but that is still something I wish we had more tools of. It's like how you can still be the dad and the man but still be open to just the emotional communication that like our girls need and our children, even our sons. I hug and kiss my son every day, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
look, dude, ain't nothing weird about this. I'm your dad. I love you more than anything. Like, bruh, I'm gonna be a person is
yeah.
unconditional in my love for you.
Here's a funny story. My oldest, like I'm about to blow your listeners' minds. Like my oldest son is 32. My daughter is 31, and my
Bruh,
youngest is 25. He just turned 25
bruh,
Friday.
you look 25, man. What you talking about?
Yeah, so it's like I remember my oldest, like I mean, I got some great kids, like each one of them. I mean, they better than me in so many ways. It's just like, man, I'm just blown away.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward, and they even think I'll be joking when I say this low. I'm like, listen, I want this car, buy us this house or whatever, and I'm straight. It's like I'm waiting for that moment. They
yeah,
don't know. It's like because my kids are so talented, and like I was saying earlier, just being so awe. But with my oldest son, a funny thing was one time he was like really calling me old. He was like, Dad, you old, you old. And I was like, wait a second, who's your favorite rapper? And I think at this time he said Lil Wayne or something. So this was like almost 10 years ago. Lil Wayne was about turning 40, you know what I'm saying? I was like, wait, Lil Wayne is about to be 40, or something. He was getting old. And I was like, Jay-Z is about to be 50. Your favorite rappers are my favorite rappers. I said, we wear the same clothes. We
yeah,
wear the same shoes. We shop in the same stores. We listen to the same music.
yeah,
We growing up together. I'm not old. We just
yeah,
growing
man.
up together. So it was like real fun. I said, we even stand in the same lines to get the same Jordans. Like, what are you talking about? I'm getting old.
Yeah,
But it was just great because like I have a special relationship with each one of them, and like I said, man, like seeing them pursue what it is that they want to do, like inspires me. Like I mean, to push for my passion. And then like I used to always tell them, I can't show you to be something if I ain't nothing.
yeah,
So it's like I got to show you. So it's like I did the military thing, I got out, I did the school thing, I
yeah,
did that, I'm doing the film thing, and you know my gratifications come in different ways, and it's, most people would think like it comes with the Oscar. I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
Golden Globe, that would be nice. An Emmy, that would be cool too. But man, I get to be around this creative process because again, you talking to somebody who tried to take his life, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like I'm just appreciative of every day I get to breathe and
Yeah.
taking oxygen because a lot of us, we're just walking around breathing to death. You're not living life. You just, you waiting, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, I'm doing this thing. So I got my kids to thank for that. My beautiful wife,
Yeah. Wife, hey man, the wives are everything, dog. I tell
yo,
everybody,
she
man.
holds it down. She holds it down. She just lets me,
My
you
wife
know.
give me the freedom to create. Everybody always, saying, "Man, Lo, man, you this, you dope, blah blah blah." In my head, none of this works without the support of my wife, man.
But before we go any further,
Talk to me.
I gotta tell y'all, I've watched this brother. Like, listen, like he told the story briefly how we on Instagram. We met on Instagram. We've never met in person. Me and Lo never met in person, but it was something with a connection at Full Sail. I used to work at Los Angeles Film School, which is the exact same school as Full Sail. Is just a different name in Los Angeles. It's the same curriculum or what have you, and we got into a conversation on something, I don't know if it was like Instagram or maybe YouTube with Film Riot, because I used to watch Film Riot on YouTube all the time. But we got connected anyway around, I'm gonna say almost 6 years ago. It's getting on close to 6 years because that was 2017 and this is 2023. And we just developed a bond, and we just was encourage one another, support one another, and I watched him grow before he even graduated. Because I was asking you, when you graduate, do you get to keep the camera that they give you? Because they gave you like a Sony
I had
F7 or
I had an FS100. Yeah.
yeah, FS100, and I was like, oh, so with Full Sail you get to keep the camera. And he was like, yeah, you got to graduate and you got to pass the classes and you get to keep it. And I watched him go from one of those things, then you went and got two, and then you developed your company, and then you was doing all these shows and producing all these programs, and then next the podcast. I remember when you first started the podcast, and that started to pop off, and now look at him today. Look at him today, and it's
Let's
like I
get some
watched this
claps in
brother.
here, man.
Yeah, get his man some claps. I watched him grow from like I watched him build. Like if you go back to his first Instagram story, you'll see him this man's growth over the years, and you just watch him like increase. I mean, because God said he'll give you the increase, and he said he'll cause men, to pour into your bosom. And in Ephesians, he said he'll do exceedingly abundantly above all we could ever ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Right.
Come on,
So
brother.
I remember in the beginning, it was just the little that we had at the time was the lot for us. Get what I'm saying? The little at the time was a lot for us, but God said, I got more. And just see how you transition like year after year after year up until like, you see all the different lights. You see the cool intro. He got the headphones, the mic, the whiteboard behind him with the blur effect. He got the bokeh going on. Listen, humble beginnings to see like where you have transition. That's inspiring. So that's why it's like I keep going because I see y'all grow. So it's like, well, I'm not in a pasture yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can still get around. I can still look young. I'm my ear still to the street. I still got my finger on the pulse a little bit at almost 50.
Go.
So it's just like I'm gonna keep doing this for as long as I can. But along the way, I'm gonna pour into anybody and everybody who I can or who's willing to accept or receive what it is that I got to give, and hopefully, it gives them some insight or a little piece of the game to get them to the next level. And I'm all for it, man. I just love it all.
Man, hey, listen, we're gonna pivot. We're gonna get out of here. We got to wrap. But before we go, I gotta shout out my cousin Art Burney, he gave us some hands, some worship hands in there, said let's go. Shout out to Jaden McGee, Media, one of my young shooters out there, man. He's talking about the the Journey documentary that premiered. If you're on the channel, if you're on my YouTube channel, check that out after this. And that's just a quick blurb. I don't know if I told you, man. I told you off camera about my journey that I'm losing till my birthday this year, documenting all of it. And then shout out to my right hand at my church's media and my sister Kim Pullins. Kim, thank you for pulling up, hanging out. Everybody that pulled up tonight, man, we really appreciate you. Now, Devon, this music you hear is your chance to tell people how to connect with you. This is your floor. You
Oh,
have
word.
yes.
I feel like I got to drop some bars or something. No. I mean, it's simple. You can just follow me on IG, connect with me there. Devon J. Edwards. You know, it's simple. I'm using the government because my name gonna be on the bottom of these checks one day. So I want you to know what it is. Yeah, on TikTok, inspired by Devon. You know, Facebook, Devon J. Edwards. You know, as simple as that. You know. You can find me all those. True Tribe Productions and True Tribe Entertainment is coming really, really, really soon. So look out for that, my independent production company. And yeah, I got you can see a little bit on the whiteboard behind me. I got it's parts of a film that I'm working on. So I got some projects coming up that I said is going to be done this year and hitting the festival run next year, you know. But if you come into Park City, Utah for the Sundance Film Festival within the next 2 weeks, I'll be there, you know. So holla at your boy.
Hook them up, man. Put them in that group so they don't be homeless at Sundance.
Yeah. Get in this group of homeless at Sundance. We got you.
Hey, Devon, man, I appreciate you pulling up, man. And time flies when you're having fun and good conversations, man. So, listen, if you are listening and this is your first time, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, all of that. I want to continue to bring you great people like Devon so that we can all come together and grow. Let's make 2023 our Jordan year, our year where we become champions, where we master the things that have kept us from our success and our goals, because life is too short to waste, man. I'm rooting for all of you. Listen, man, if y'all are talking, if you got something going on, don't hide it, share it. I like to see and meet new people, and you could be a part of my world like Devon, man.
Yes, sir.
So until next time, man, listen, I'm going to get out of here. Devon, tell the people we got to go.
Well, it's that time. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here.
And we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.